and Elac told the audiophile world that they're definitely aware of us and they must like and respect what we do. And so I've had a bunch of phone calls and emails and people being very concerned about, hey, Eric, Elac's doing this too now. So that takes us to a number of 4 companies. We have Elac, we have Monitor Audio, we have James Loudspeakers, and we have Genelec, all trying to circumvent our technology. But I want our fan club, our owners to know that, look, it's not superior. They can make marketing and claims all day long. And I'm going to lay a few things out here, but it's not superior. So, and here's the sad thing. I'll tell you a story. So hopefully most of you have seen the movie The Sandlot. So we have these young boys that hit a baseball over the fence where a giant dog is, and they risk life and limb for days to get their ball back. Finally, after a lot of racket and nobody died, they get over the fence, they get the ball back, and the homeowner, the actor James Earl Jones, stands out on his rear porch and says, well, what's all this commotion, this racket? And they tell him, and he says, well, why didn't you just knock on the door? I would have gotten it for you. And I really have the same response to these people that are they're definitely aware of what we're doing, and then they're trying to circumvent what we're doing instead of like, hey, why didn't you just knock on the door? I'd have helped you out, okay? Because first and foremost, I'm a product development engineer. I have more patents than I can even manufacture with, that I can work with, and so I'm actually keen and interested on building partners and not locking people out. And that goes for the do-it-yourselfers. If there's a do-it-yourselfer out there that's interested in what we're doing with our patented technology, and by the way, you should be interested with what you're doing. We've got companies that are, look, Monitor Audio's been in business since I was 6. They've created a product that looks like they're copying what we do, and there's no pedigree to it. It just mystically, magically, their product development team just pulled it out of a magic hat 3 years ago. So you should be interested in what we're doing. This stuff is pretty dang cool. Now, just to be perfectly clear, why I think still what we're doing is superior to what those 4 companies are doing, I'll lay it all out here. So for example, Elac's kind of doing what the Monitor Audio trick was, is they take 6 of these, they're going to call them mid-ranges. They still have I'm sure they have a very low moving mass, which concerns me because the #1 claim in my patent talks about a low mass algorithm. It doesn't talk about how speakers are configured or arranged or anything like that. I came up with this concept long before I had a solution about how to configure speakers to make all this work. So the first thing was the concept, and that's claim #1, and I bet you there's a 90% chance that all 4 of these companies are infringing on my claim #1, which is not about a layout. It's about a low mass approach to designing loudspeakers that is superior and correct. It's something that loudspeaker designers have literally overlooked for generations. Fortunately, I'm the guy that was able to unlock that. So back to the design. So they've got something that's very similar, probably similar in size and shape and definitely driver size and shape, okay? So they have 6 of these, they're calling them mid-ranges, so they must have a higher moving mass. I'm using tweeters and I'm tackling all of the mid-range. In fact, we can take a speaker like this, where we're using even more to get down lower, and I've designed models like the Moab, the Ulfbert, the Encore. Look, these devices are contributing to the frequency response in the 200 and 300 hertz region. They are literally doing and tackling all of the mid-range, and they are featherweights with big magnets on the back. Okay, that's how we get it done. All right, so what if they've got a little AMT here in the middle to try to disguise and make it look creative and innovative and very forward-thinking? I'll be perfectly candid. I flushed that stuff out 9 years ago after I said, well, I wonder if this is going to work, and I didn't bother to patent it because I wasn't all that impressed with the results. So if I visualize physics, And when I visualize this stuff, I'm thinking in the realm of pressure pulse, all right? So if I have a piston, I want to have a uniform and very direct pressure pulse, just shooting sound out like this, okay? Well, if I have a piston with 7 of these, I've now made an acoustic donut. So my piston is not a piston, it's a donut. And I don't want a donut. Here's why. There's a void in the middle where the tweeter goes. And to compound this, my research taught me that most of the time, the tweeter needs to have the polarity inverted so that all of this stuff sums uniformly. So, okay, we have a superior polar response. The evidence for that, check out Stereophile in, I believe, 2017, the impact monitor, which, by the way, if we take this cabinet, we chop that off, that's the impact monitor. I talked to some executives at Stereophile 2 days ago. We went over this. The impact monitor, 2017, passive speaker, no DSP, no nothing, pulled off the best average horizontal polar response in the history of Stereophile measurements. That's how good this is. Now, I got a hunch that the other ones, they're not going to have that good of a polar response, especially with making a donut. And by the way, that's good for KEF, that's good for everybody that's using concentric type tweeters. I've been there. I've worked on product development teams with coaxes. And while you can get a decent polar response, it's not the best avenue. It's not the best approach because, again, you're working with a donut that has a hole in the middle. And again, pressure pulse tells me, my intuition goes send out a wave, a beautiful wave that doesn't have anything that's subpar in it. So what we're doing is we have 7 tweeters and they're all working uniformly together to produce that beautiful pressure pulse. We apply a little more power to the center, and then as we go up in frequency, we transition all of the high treble to the center tweeter, and it works uniformly well. Best horizontal average polar response in the history of Stereophile magazine, and a beautiful frequency response that is very linear, very, very linear. That's the other thing that you'll see in that Stereophile measurement is just how amazing that speaker is from a linearity point of view. So here we have Elac, which I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and their team probably spent 2 years developing this product. But I got to tell you, at the end of the day, when we just, if we just set them up and lined them up, the double impact starting at $3,000 a pair is going to do everything that speaker does and more. And I like where we're at. So again, before another one of my competitors wants to recreate the wheel, so to speak, reach out, talk to me. We'll do some co-branding, we'll assign some stuff, whatever you want to do. You can buy my company, and hopefully everybody will be a lot happier in just, I don't want to try to take over the loudspeaker world. I just love what I do, and I, first and foremost, again, I consider myself a product development engineer. So there you go, end of story. Have a fantastic day.